Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this very special webinar where we're going to look at some of the amazing tools to support creativity on iPad. And my name is Richard Child, and with me, as always, these days is Mr. David Kirtland, fresh back from the Bet Show last week. So, David, thank you for getting a bit of rest and coming and joining us today. And what we're going to look at is, first of all, I'm going to talk about some of the excellent resources to create on iPad in particular, and just talk generally about why creating is a good thing when learning with technology. Then we're going to take a look at some of the resources. We're going to look at, in particular, some resources from Apple in a program called Everyone Can Create. And in that program, there is lots and lots to do, but we're going to focus on a PDF and some resources to be found on Apple's website called 30 Creative Activities for Kids. So we're going to take a look at one or two of those. Then David's going to turn the page and we're going to look at some fantastic apps from Adobe. This is Adobe Creative Cloud Express for Education, which we're very pleased to say is free to schools. So some really great resources that will sort of fit in really nicely with the Apple ones that we'll talk about. We'll take a look at 2 or 3 of those, and then we've got 5 or 10 minutes at the end for questions and next steps. We'll point you to some resources that will, we hope, be really helpful for you as you take your creative journey forwards. So let's just wade straight in. Let me talk about Apple's vision for learning with iPad and Mac. So Apple have been in this creative game for schools, for education, for a long time, 40 years. And in that black and white photo at the back of the slide, you can see, some of you may recognize an Apple II. And, those are the days when computing was done in a room with 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 computers. And, it wasn't really something that was for everybody back then. Boy, have things changed. So let's take a look at, reasons why that is. So if we look at the iPad in particular as a device, this is a device that still excites me when I see what it can do in a school. And one thing we have to be sure, I guess this is the mission for all of us around education, is, how do we empower these pupils today and prepare them for the jobs of tomorrow? And there's just so many possibilities going forward, really exciting, but quite a shift in skills from certainly 40 years or so ago. So here's a quick video from Apple that will just talk a little bit about their approach, Apple's approach to learning with technology. Let's take a look.
In today's world, technology touches almost every part of our lives, including how we learn, in the classroom, at home, or anywhere else. And when schools leverage technology to its full potential, teachers can engage students more deeply and prepare them for the future. Apple has worked closely with educators for more than 40 years. That experience has led to the development of 4 design principles that define our vision for meaningful learning with technology: connected, collaborative, creative, and personal. Connected. It's more than giving students access to internet and devices. Connected learning means providing students with the tools to find and explore the best quality content in exactly the format they need to bring learning to life. Collaborative learning goes far beyond video conferences or sharing documents online. It's about working together toward a shared purpose, from anywhere and with anyone. Meaningful learning is also creative. With technology that enables their imagination, students can make discoveries and make mistakes. They can learn new skills to solve tough problems and express themselves. Because creative learning isn't just about the arts. It's about giving students technology that lets them share their original point of view in their own unique way. And finally, when learning is personal, students can take ownership of how they learn, instilling a sense of personal responsibility, independence, and interdependence, helping them understand how they're connected with others in a global community. Connected, collaborative, creative, and personal. Design principles that enable us to build meaningful learning experiences with Apple technology.
So there we have 4 key pillars to Apple's approach to learning in the classroom with iPad and Mac. Connected, collaborative, creative, and personal. And I think a lot of those points very well made. Hopefully we'll strike a chord with you as you look at technology in your setting, and what does that word collaborative mean? What are the tools that you have in the classroom to enable that collaboration, not just between pupils, but between pupils and staff, and who knows, involve wider collaboration with the community, with parents, etc. Let's not talk about it too much, because what we really want to do is see it in action. So here's a little video by a school that we work with up in Chorley in Lancashire. Recently became an Apple Distinguished School, and this quick 3-minute video just talks about how they use iPad and some of the tools that aid all of those 4 areas within their school, within their setting. So as you're watching, do sort of have a look and see what's connected, collaborative, creative, and personal. Certainly, pretty much everything you're going to see would certainly tick those boxes. So let's take a look and see what they're doing in Chorley.
The nice trees, there's no leaves because it's autumn. This is St James's Primary School. These are the roads. These are all the houses. This is the Chorley Library. We're going on a boat, we're going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. I will fly at night time because they are nocturnal. The air balloon is rainbow, bright and colourful. A volcano is caused by magma deep inside the earth that pushes through the mantle and the crust. When we got to every point, we did location interviews about the things around us, and we had to put what physical geography we did and tick it if we saw it.
Man called Philippe Petit. He did the most extraordinary thing ever. He walked between the Twin Towers in New York on a 131st.
Hello, ich heiße Victor. Ich heiße und du?
My favourite part was learning about the Mayan numbers. They have a 20 base system, unlike us who only have a 10 base system.
Very well done to our friends in Chorley. So hopefully that came across. They crammed so much into that 3 minutes, but what we saw there were examples of their connected learning, collaboration, learning, of course, that was personal to every child because they're doing it on their own device, But the creativity is what we want to zero in on this afternoon. So let's take a look at, in fact, there's an example of creativity in action at Chorley. Those are the recording sound booths, which are basically just IKEA pods with a bit of foam inside, which means that background noises and several children can record their narrations at the same time without interrupting one another. So great example of creativity, and it just makes me chuckle every time I see it. So if we think about this technology that we have that's very familiar, I think, to most of us now, we've got iPads, we've got Apple Watch, we've got phones, we've got laptops. It all enables all of those things: the collaboration, the connectivity, and the creativity. And creativity is essential for learning. A lot of people will say that learning through creating is going to be a much more memorable experience for your learners. And I think what we're talking about is the ways that children can express their understanding of an idea or a concept in many, many varied and different ways. And that's really what this program is all about.
Creativity moves our world forwards. It fuels learning, inspires self-expression, and drives innovation. So fostering creativity is one of the most important things teachers can do. In classrooms with a low focus on creativity, research shows that only 38% of teachers see students demonstrate critical thinking, and only 50% observe problem solving. In classrooms with a high focus on creativity, these skills jump to 74% and 85%. Students in creative classrooms are also more confident, more curious, and more willing to take risks, which makes learning stick and helps students thrive. 3 out of 4 teachers agree these outcomes increase when students use technology to learn in new ways. Every day, students of all ages use technology for school. But most of their time is spent typing and taking tests, paper and pencil kind of work. There's a lot more that the best technology can do. At Apple, we design products to transform learning experiences so they're connected, collaborative, creative, and personal.
Our project on the solar system.
We see the potential to unleash the creative genius in everyone. The education team at Apple is dedicated to making new resources to help teachers design engaging learning experiences for their students, like exploring science with augmented reality, solving maths problems with coding, or bringing reading and writing to life with a podcast. When we tap into creativity, we unlock the full potential of every student, inspiring every kind of mind with ideas that change the world.
Excellent. So you'll hear about all of this and much, much more on a thing called the Apple Teacher Learning Center. We will put a link, a QR code link to this after the demonstrations that David's going to take us through. But this is where you need to go to learn about all of Apple's programs for education. The one, of course, today we're focusing on is Everyone Can Create. So within the Apple Teacher Learning Center, you can actually progress through this content, doing quizzes. You can build a digital portfolio, and it's part of a community where you can share best practice with teachers, not just in the UK, but across the world. These are global programs. Become an Apple teacher. Just log in with your Apple ID, and away you go. And you work through the courses, build up your portfolio, and eventually you will get the accreditation that is much sought after, the Apple Teacher Certificate, which you can print out, pop it on your classroom wall or your staff room wall, and forever those around you will know that you've taken the time to take a look at this. So that's where you'll find it. There's also a growing community on Twitter. It's #AppleEDU, and there's plenty to dive into. So let us begin. Let's look, David, at Everyone Can Create. So I'm going to release control of the screen and allow you to jump on.
Okay, great. Thank you, Richard. So hopefully you can see my iPad screen now. And Richard's just been introducing us to the Apple Teacher Learning Center. So let's just jump in here to start with and have a quick look at what we have. So we log in here. The web address is appleteacher.apple.com, and we simply sign in with our Apple IDs. Now, once we've signed up to this website, this is a really useful place to keep coming back to. There's lots of great resources and lesson ideas that we can have in here. And this headline banner here, it keeps changing. There's lots of new things pop up at the moment, but really the two areas that we're focusing on here are the professional learning category, and that splits into foundational skills and lesson integration. Now, we're not going to go into the foundational skills today, but really that's where you want to start. And that gives you all the kind of the tips and the tricks and the bits of information that you need just to ensure that you're, as a teacher, nice and confident with the core set of apps that Apple give us. So that's things like iMovie, GarageBand, Keynote, Pages, and Numbers. And it really does step you through the basics of that. And you can do a quiz at the end of that and gain your Apple Teacher certificate. But really today, the bit we want to focus on is the other half of Apple Teacher, and that's this section here called lesson integration. And that's where we take the basic skills of using these core apps and thinking about what do we do with these in the classroom, what are we asking the children to do, and how are we going to use these to support learning. Now in here we've got a few categories. We've got links to the portfolios and everyone can code, but we're going to have a look at everyone can create, which is that third option there. And if we tap on here, this takes us to all the resources, and there's a lot of content here. It will take time to work through some of these. You've got plenty of weeks worth of material here. And the two bits that we really want to highlight are the introduction activities, and we're going to dig into those in a moment. But I also just want to mention these project guides, and these are brilliant. These are books that you can download. It's all free. Download them in the Books app. And you've got 4 project guides here. You've got one for video, one for drawing, one for music, and one for photo. Don't forget, we've also got teacher guides, including one for early learners as well. And what you get in here are fairly substantial project ideas, and it walks you through each of the stages to work on these projects with the children, but also helps you in terms of how do we achieve that in each of the apps. And there's some great projects in here. They're all really good ideas. So do spend some time, download those books and have a good work through some of those projects. Now, the first bit we want to look at today, though, is the intro activities. And here on the left-hand side, we've got 30 creative activities for kids, and we're going to have a look at a couple of these. And when you tap on it, you do get these introduction cards. This is just the headline information highlighting the projects and giving you the tips of how we might want to use those. You can download these, so you've always got access to them, but they're in the Learning Center as well. So just like we pick a couple of things out, let's have a look at the first one. Just simple drawing task for the younger children here, personifying an object. And this is about going around and taking photos of everyday objects, but using the markup tools in the camera app to let us draw faces on these, draw arms and legs, and hopefully maybe have 2 or 3 of these. Maybe we can even generate a little story, maybe a comic strip from some of these things. So it's just giving us these ideas of how we might want to use these tools and these activities in the classroom. It gives you a little tip on how to have a look at these, but obviously we've got more details if we go into them. Let's have a quick look. This is a lovely one. Picture your name. I've used this a lot with the children, and this is about children exploring the environment around them, going and looking for letter shapes in their local environment and then editing them together, maybe even putting this together in something like Keynote so we can manipulate these individual images, we can crop them down, we can put frames on them, we could draw over the top to enhance these as well. But a lovely little one. I've seen a lot of schools printing these out and using them on drawers or coat pegs just to give us a little more information about the children and the type of things they like. And we've got a whole bunch of these. There's some really great ones in there. I'm going to pick 2 or 3 out to work through today, but once we get to the bottom of this, that's our first 30, you'll notice there's 30 more activities. And it kind of tentatively says these might be more appropriate for the slightly older children now, the 8 to 12. But of course, as teachers, we kind of manipulate these and we pull the favorite bits out, and you can adapt these to whatever age group of children you're working with. But if we just jump into the 30 more activities for a moment, it's the same kind of thing, just more of it. So more ideas. These ones are a little bit more involved. There's more steps to them. There's some nice ones for things like the brand of you. Number 9 there is about asking the children to identify their key traits, things that make them an individual, and how we could maybe create that into a brand design some logos, pulling all those things together. There's lots of well-being topics built into this, getting the children trying to think about who they are and what makes them unique, but also building all that into these wider creative skills. So a few good ones there. Let's have a go at some. So I'm going to leave you at some point to go and dig into those and have a good work through that content, but let's try a couple of them. So one of the apps that we develop a lot of skills in when we're working through Apple Teacher is Keynote. And Keynote really is a very useful app for creating lots and lots of content on the iPad. Now, you can use it to create presentations. Obviously, that's what it's designed for. But if you start working through some of these creative activities, you'll find that actually use it as a drawing tool quite a lot, or maybe for creating animations or even creating app prototypes. That's a really nice task to work with the children. It's part of the Everyone Can Code resources there, but it's all done in the same app, and it really does give us a lot of options. So let me go into our presentations, and I've just got a blank white plain presentation here just to start with. And one of my favorite ones as a starting point for the younger children is a really simple drawing task. It's actually number 7. It's about creating an emoji. And this is just developing drawing skills. You can either use a stylus or an Apple Pencil, but it works equally well with fingers. And if we just go into our plus button where we can add or create anything new on our presentations, on our slides, we've got our drawing tools down near the bottom of the list. And these are quite nice, they're fairly simple drawing tools, but they are quite nice options on here. So I've got various pens and pencils. I'm going to use this fill tool, and that just lets me create objects and it automatically fills the shape for me. So if we're creating an emoji, we don't have to, but it might be a nice idea to use the yellow, because a lot of emojis are yellow to start with. The children can decide, but simply just draw in a circle. And you'll notice as I do this, Keynote kind of fills the space for me nice and easily. And what's great about this is if I select some different colors, let's start drawing the other parts in. We could be asking the children to think about different emotions and recognizing facial expressions, and maybe we can replicate those and create a whole set of emojis, thinking about that emotional intelligence and being able to read other people, as it were, is a nice little task for some children. So let's draw some eyes in. And again, still using that fill tool, and we don't have to be great at drawing for a lot of these things. It just kind of, it does a lot of the hard work for us. Let's try a black one now. Let's put some pupils in here. And of course, the children can experiment with what happens if the pupils are down low or if they're high up in the eyes, and how does that change the expression? Staying with the same fill tool, straight away putting a circle, and we've got kind of a surprised emoji here. But let's try it again. We could duplicate this and have multiple versions. I'm just going to use the undo button for a moment and change to one of the pens. If we hold the pen down, we can change the thickness and the opacity of the pen. But I'm going to stay with this for the moment. And we could just put a little smile on, put some eyebrows on. And we've got a very different expression already. We could put sad faces. We could put kind of more confused faces. And let the children just experiment with the different emotions and how moving the eyes, moving the eyebrows, moving the mouth kind of changes that understanding of what we're looking at here. So a really simple task, but the children enjoy this one. It's a nice one to get us going. Everyone likes an emoji. So it's a good one to start with, something nice and simple. I've done it here in Keynote. You could do this in one of the drawing apps, something like Sketches School. If you want to take the drawing element a little bit further, that gives you more drawing tools. So you could add shading and different elements to the picture here. But it's one of those, all these tasks we can expand as and how we need to for the children we have in front of us. Now, I'm going to duplicate this slide. I'm just going to have a second slide. And I'm going to do one of the other tasks now. It's a bit further down the list. I think this one is about number 27. And this is about exploring pop art. So I'm going to just jump out of Keynote for a moment. And I'm going to have a look at my photos. And I've got a set of images here, but here's a selfie I took earlier. And I'm just going to use this one now. And if I want to use this as a pop art starting point, it's fine. It's me looking straight at the camera for this one. That's okay. I've got a kind of a purplish reddish background, which I don't really want at the moment. But before we go back to Keynote to use this picture, I'm going to tap the edit button. And this is just within the Photos app. And the Photos app gives me all sorts of options here. I can apply filters. I can go into my adjustments. I can really fine tune different aspects of this image. But I'm just going to go into my filters, which lets me tweak the colors. And we can see this as I select through these different options here. But I'm going to go for a black and white one to start with. And I just want to go for, I think that one will do. Silver tone will work. And I can adjust the strength of it using this little slider here. And all I'm really wanting is just to kind of almost enhance the contrast from the background to the subject. So it just makes it easier if we do want to use this and remove that background. The bigger the difference between the two just makes it slightly easier. So I'm going to go with that, a silver tone black and white it's called there. So now I've done that edit in my photo library. If I go back to Keynote now, and I'm going to go to my plus, as always, to my photo library, and let me find that album. There it is. So there's a picture we've just edited. It's still black and white for us. Now, Keynote has this really nice little tool here. If I go to my paintbrush tool, I've got the options under the image tab. Now I could edit the mask, but I want instant alpha here. And instant alpha just refers to the opacity of a color. So if I tap on instant alpha, it actually tells me along the bottom of the photo now, drag across colors to make them transparent. Now, what that actually means is I just use my finger, and if I tap and hold on the background color, so that dark gray, and push up, just notice how it's selected that color. Now, if I push up some more, that 8% will go to 12 and more as I push up. But if I go too far, look, it started selecting parts of the image I want to keep now. It's got my beard in there. So I've got to pull back down a bit. So I need to get as much of the background as I can without it affecting the subject. And that's okay. I've let go now. It's removed that. But let's just do it in 2 or 3 goes. I'm going to select these other areas and select some of these. And it doesn't matter that it's taking me a few goes. I can do that. And there we go. And if I press done, that's quite quickly and easily cropped out the subject from the background there, which is a great tool. We can use it in all sorts of images. And I'm just going to shrink this down. So if we are creating this kind of pop art style now, I'm going to duplicate this image in a minute. But before we do that, let's add a nice bright colored background to it. So instead of using the photo tab this time, I'm going to go into the shapes, which are built into all of the Apple Office suite. And these are like icons, really. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these, and we can customize them, we can edit them, we can chop them up and put them together. But I just want something simple here. I'm just going to use a square. And in fact, it's blue already. I think I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to expand it a little bit. Now, I don't want it over the top. I want this the other way around. I want the square behind the picture of me there. So I'm just going to use my paintbrush, and on the Arrange tab, let's just use that slider. It just knocks it back. There we go. So let's line these up. So something like that is looking okay. There we go. So that's beginning to have this kind of like the first square of our pop art image. So in typical pop art style, I might want 4 of these arranged in a square. So all I'm going to do is hold one and tap the other. It kind of lets me select both together. I can group them actually, but I'm going to leave them separate items, but I can move them together. I'll just move it over towards the middle a little bit more, but I'm going to copy that. And let's just paste it over here. But this time I want to select the square, and let's just change the color. Let's go to we've got these headline colors under the style tab. I can go into the fill color and I can get as many colors as I like, but I think these headline ones are okay. Let's go green for this one. And let's paste it again over here. And again, select the background. Headline color, we'll go red for this one. And we'll have one more over here. Oops, select them both again. And line this up here, something like that. And tap the background. And this one can go yellow, something like that. So we're already getting this. We could put it on a bigger background, have a square behind it, pull these together. We've got all those shapes. We can keep developing this idea if we want. We could go back to our drawing tools. And we could start adding some elements to this. I could go have a yellow drawing tool and I could color elements in. In fact, I'm going to use a crayon. I quite like the crayon color here. Let's put a yellow crayon on. Crayon just has a nice texture to it, kind of suits this kind of thing. Might want to go a little bit thinner. Remember, if we hold these down, we can select the thickness of the tool we've got. What could we go on over here with in the yellow one? Maybe we put a little kind of hat on. And we can color this in here. So we're just drawing in here and kind of adding a little bit of fun to some of these images. We could go, what should we add on this one? Let's put some glasses on. And finally, let's have a party crown on. So we're just kind of annotating these and doodling on the images, but using some of the tools to develop that creative kind of expression and freedom. But it's a starting point really just to see what we can do using those ideas in everyone can create some of those starting activities, but you can see it's nice and quick and easy to use some of these tools. Now, let's jump out of Keynote. I'll do one more of those activities, and I'm going to jump into GarageBand for this one. And the nice thing about these activities is that there's some great drawing ones, there's some video-based ones, there's somewhere we've got to get out and about and explore the area. Let's jump into some of the music ones here. And GarageBand is one of those brilliant tools. There's so many things you can do with GarageBand, whether it is performance, composition, or in our case today, I think we'll use it for more of a literacy task around podcasting, but we'll bring in some of those music elements here. So let's press the plus and create a new song, a new file in GarageBand. And I have on my tracks tab, various instruments. Well, if we're going to do podcasting, we could do kind of a radio show here. So I'm just going to use the audio recorder. And without doing anything, just using the built-in microphone here, my iPad is already listening to everything I'm saying here. So I've got some settings, I can tweak these. I've even got some presets. So instead of being lead vocals for singing, which will have lots of kind of reverb sounds on there, a little bit of an echoey type sound, I'm going to go for a radio sound. It's just a bit tighter sound. It sounds a bit more appropriate for what we're doing. But again, I can tweak any of this. So we just going to hit record. We might have done our research. We've done our topic in schools. We might have made some notes on pen and paper. We could use a second iPad and write an entire script. So we've turned those notes into full sentences. And if we use something like Pages, don't forget there's the presenter mode in Pages. It lets us run the iPad as an auto cue. So the text will scroll past the screen, which means we've got it all prepared. So when we're on the second iPad, we can just record it nice and fluently. So let's record some breaking news about maybe the Tudors. Maybe we're doing the Kings and Queens topic. So I'm going to turn my metronome off. It will count in for the beginning of the recording, but then it will stop for the recording so I don't get my click all the way through. But let's hit record. Welcome to our breaking news today. We're going to find out lots of news and things that are happening with the royal family. We're going to find out about the latest things in the world of the Tudors. So that could be the beginnings of our podcast here. And of course, we could have 2 or 3 children scripting it out to take it in turns and sharing that presenter role there. But using this little symbol up at the top, the third one here, it kind of looks like a brick wall. That just takes me over to my recording view. And you can see there's the recording we've just made. There's our little bit of vocals. Welcome to our breaking news today. We're going to find out lots of news and things that are happening. So we can make that as long as we like. We can obviously have 2 or 3 parts if we want, using the plus at the bottom, and add another vocal part if we're doing 2 presenters in separate goes, but we'll stick with that for this afternoon. Now, I'm just going to move that a little bit further down in my project for the moment, because we might want to think about using some of the loops which are built into GarageBand. And we could be asking the children to create little jingles or little bits of musical interludes to add a little bit of character to our radio show. So this is a news program, perhaps. So let's go into our loops and let's see if we can let's do a search and see if we can find something that's a brass kind of introduction that might help creating something that sounds a bit like a brass theme. So let's go down here. So I think something like one of the Solaris ones might work. So if we like one of those, all we have to do is grab hold of it and we drag it onto the next track. Now this is looping. We can see it loop 4 times across the screen. I don't need that. So I'm just going to drag the end and just shorten it down a little bit. Now, I don't think there's quite enough there on its own. Let's go and have a look. Maybe we can find a big drum roll, a timpani roll. So let's search on timpani and see if anything comes up on there. That might be quite nice. Let's put that one in as well, and we'll build up these layers. So I'll put that one underneath. Again, a little bit long. So let's just push that one down so they're all about the appropriate length. And we can just add a few things into here. What about some strings? Any strings in there? Let's try this one. Nice high string. Let's grab that. We'll put this one in. Same again, shorten it down. And we can change the balance. We can set the levels of these. Let's try a, see if there's a reverse symbol. Yeah, these might be quite good. Let's put one of those in. And again, we don't need all those. That's a little bit shorter, that loop, so we need it a little bit further down the project. And of course, we're going to have to end this with a crash symbol. Let's search for crash. Oh, number 5 sounds a bit bigger. Let's go with that one. So straight away, and we might need to manipulate these a little bit more and think about it, but very quickly. Welcome to our breaking news today. We're going to find out lots of news and things that are happening with the Royal Family. So you get the idea of how we can layer up these loops to create different jingles and things that might be appropriate for the type of things we could be creating in GarageBand. But as a starting point, really, I'm hoping that just gives you a little bit of a flavor into the type of ideas and resources that are there in the Apple Teacher Learning Center. There's those 60 activities, 2 sets of 30, plus the bigger project guides, just as a starting point. What do you think, Richard?
I think, as always, you've done an incredible job of highlighting just how approachable these things are. I mean, everything we've looked at so far is on the software that comes with every iPad, right? We've not sort of ventured beyond what your toolbox is to begin with, but that's precisely where we're going now, isn't it? We're going to have a look and see how we can add to this with some great apps and software from Adobe. So tell me more. I'm really looking forward to seeing this. So what can we do? Show us.
That's right, Rick. That's right. We've got so many things we can do just using those Apple resources. And then all of a sudden we kind of turn the page over and we've got the Adobe ones as well. And there's so many there. And in fact, actually, a lot of these are fairly general ideas, and you can start borrowing from each one and crossing them across to make these projects even more engaging and fun for the children. So I'm going to start off by having a look at this app. This is the Creative Cloud Express app from Adobe. And there's some amazing things in here. You just log in with your Adobe account. And the first thing that probably strikes you when you jump into this app is the sheer number of templates that you have available. And a lot of these in here, it's all really about kind of graphic design and presenting those ideas and making it nicely visual and appealing. But there are so many starting points. Now, of course, we can start from a blank page as well. But for example, if you're doing a project there, I'm just on cards at the moment, and you're scrolling through this and think, actually, there's quite a few nice templates on cards. But you'll notice at the end of each of these categories, it says view all. And if I tap on view all, I go into the cards category. And so now I've got different types of cards, and then you start getting impressed with just how many different categories of cards there are again, depending on what topic you're doing. And this is the same whether it's posters or newsletters. I'm just happen to be in cards here. And then you think, well, actually, maybe we're going to do a thank you card. And then you notice at the end of that category, it says view all again. And it just keeps going. There are so many templates as a starting point. It really is quite amazing just to kind of really think about how we can use these in the classroom. So let's pick one. I'm going to go to start with. I might go down and do something with the logos. And I think we mentioned earlier in the Apple ones, there's one about designing a logo and a brand of you, just how we might get the children thinking about, well, who are they? What's their personalities? What type of things do they like? What makes them unique? And we could start developing a brand. Well, this is something we could pull over here, this idea, and really develop this whole idea into really pushing these brands that we've got here. So I'm going to pick one of these. I'm going to go for, let's go for that Dolphin Collective one there. And this is a pre-made template. So it gives me the option there to remix this template. And once we're in here, we've got access now to all these individual elements. So I can pick these and move these around. So there's that icon of the dolphin there. I could adjust the color of it if I want to just do some simple changes. I can resize it. I think I'm going to get rid of that dolphin altogether. And let's move some of these things around. Let's go and add a new element to it. And when we add new elements, we get some options along the bottom of the screen. And this is really simple to use. The younger children could do this quite independently. I want to add, I think I'm going to go for a design asset at the moment. And that's kind of like a complete drawing, something we could put in there, as opposed to an icon, which will be one of those flat shapes. So let's go to a design asset. And this lets me search. It gives me all these trending ones that are coming up at the moment. And these are really nice. But if I just search on here, let's do a little logo for, let's make up a tea room. So let's call it, let's see if there's a teapot on there. And there, just searching for teapot, we've got quite a lot of starting designs on this individual topic. I'm going to go for, let's use this one. So we'll select it and we simply tap the add button up in the top right hand corner, and it adds that to my design. We can resize it, we can spin it round, we can do all the things you kind of expect to be able to do with that option there, that element on the design. Now we need to change the text. That's not really working for us anymore, so we can stay with it, or we could delete it and add some more, but let's just stay with that pattern there. I'm going to call our tea room, I'm going to call it flower pot. Flower pot. And see, we put the right in there, and again, we can move any of this and drag it around nice and easily. We need to change the writing here. Flower pot tea rooms, we'll call that. And you see straight away, it's becoming quite easy to create designs which look quite nice. Now, we're not scuba diving, so we'll put enjoy your favorite cake. Don't forget, incidentally, while you are typing any of this in, for some children, it might be easier to use that dictation feature. It's there on the keyboard. It's just a standard keyboard that's popped up within the Adobe apps now. So we can verbally dictate the content, and the iPad will transcribe this text in here. Just opens it up to different children. And let's just move these around. Oh, we don't need that Miami bit, so let's delete that. It's on that end edit tab there. So straight away, we're starting to get our own unique logo, starting from that template if we wanted, but it's there, that's okay. Now we might want to change the colors, and I've got this lovely option here which uses color swatches, so it's got collections of colors which might work quite well. And just tapping through these, look, I can experiment really quickly and easily on different color combinations. Just helps me come up with a design, or maybe developing that brand a little bit further. That's looking quite nice. One of the cool things here, we've got an animation option. So while this could be a flat logo, I could animate it. So this might be nice if we are taking this a stage further and thinking about, actually, we're designing these logos, but we could put these into a website design if we wanted an animated logo on there. It could be something we take into an iMovie project. Maybe we're making a little iMovie advert for the brand we've created using the Adobe Cloud here to create these icons, and we've got this nice animation which we could add a voiceover to, for example. So we've got some really nice options. Incidentally, if we do share this now using the share button, we can still export it as a still image, but you've also got the option to export it as a video as well. So it's nice and easy to use. We can experiment with these little helpful tips for layout. Let's try some of these. Now, we might need to adjust the size of some of these things, but we can experiment with the different layouts and how this looks in different formats. So it just gives us all that little helping hand, really, in designing and developing ideas. For, in this case, it was a logo, but it could equally be a flyer or a newsletter or anything else that we want to work with here. So really quite simple here to create some great content. So let's tap done, and let's go home and let's have a look at a couple of other options here. Now, we started off by using one of these built-in templates, but we've got the same kind of headings along the top. It's the same topic areas. So let's have a look for an interesting one. Let's go for album covers. Let's design an album cover. And again, we've got dozens and dozens of templates if we want to start from there. But I'm going to start from scratch. That purple button, blue with purple button up at the top, just gives me a blank album cover to start with. So we've got the same options. We can add elements, we can change the colors, we can animate, we can experiment with the layout. Let's start off by adding some text. So I'm going to do something. Let's go for Motown Classics today. Motown Classics. You can call this album whatever you like, but we'll go with that one. And I might jump into the font, and let's see if there's a a nice font that works well for something like this. Oh, I'm quite liking that one. Let's go with that one. And I'm going to rotate that around. Let's put it on the side. And you see how quick and easy this is just to start designing different layouts. Let's try the color option. So what color should we make that text? Should we go red? Let's go green for now. We can change that later. So really quickly, we've got the basics of our album cover. We've put a nice font on there. We can move it around and change the color. Let's add an element. Now we've seen those design assets. They're like those little objects we can put in, almost like kind of fancy clip art, really. We've got icons, which are flat colors. But let's have a look at photos. And it gives me the options to pull it in from either my photo library or my camera, as we would expect. But I've also got the Adobe Stock Photos option here. And this now just gives me access to all sorts of copyright-free images that I can have a look through and pick things out. And if I go into this search option, let's search for singers. Let's see if we can find something appropriate. And this just pulls anything up. It's just like doing a Google image search, but inside the Adobe apps. And you see all these pictures I can now use to help with my design. I quite like this chap here. Let's go with him. He looks appropriate for our album cover. So let's add that. Now, I don't want to pin it to the background. I want to be able to move this around. So let's move it freely for now. And let's make this picture a bit bigger. Now, I have got a white background on my album, but this image has got a white background and it's kind of getting in the way of my text. Now, we saw how Keynote would let us use Instant Alpha to crop these out, and we had to kind of manually do it. But let's go in here. In our edit box, we've got some options here where we can crop it, but that third one along says remove background. And this is like magic. We just let the app think for a second. And there we go. It's instantly cropped him out. And we can place him now over the image without having that square background. So if we now start changing the colors of things, we can really play around with the layout. Let's add a color background. Let's see what we can do. Look at this. Which is really clever. Let's leave that one off for the moment. So let's go back to the overall color option. Go back to those color swatches we saw earlier. And we can start pulling our album cover together. It's looking pretty good pretty quickly just by using these colors. And these are nice because they're collections of colors which kind of complement each other. So we can really get into those discussions if we want about color theory and what works together, what kind of design we might like. We can always come back and change it and try multiple options. Let's stay with that one for a moment. Maybe we want to add another element. I'm going to go into an icon this time. And again, we can search on anything here. I might want to I'm going to put a simple star in, see if we can find something to put in the background. What have we got? That one will do, I think, because we could put some writing inside that one. Let's add it. So there's our star. Let's adjust the color, make it a little bit easier to put on here. Spin it round. Put it over here. Okay, we can change the order again. So we've got that little slider so we can put it behind elements, just like we did with some of the Apple apps. We could put some text inside it now. All your favorite songs. Okay, let's change the color of that text. We can. Spin that around, make it a bit smaller so it fits inside. And you can see it's really quick to start designing for things which look great. You've got so many helpful elements here for finding the images and working with the colors and pulling together. It's brilliant for creating this content here. So really flexible, and it's really coming up with those ideas and how we can use those in a classroom. But there's so many topics here, whether we're doing collages, great for EYFS, maybe they're doing simple topics, and we're as teachers just taking photos and pulling out nice collages so we could print those out and put them on the wall or share them digitally with parents, just to kind of showcase what they're doing. If you have social media in your school, you've got things which help here for Instagram and Twitter posts and things, just to create good looking content to share with parents. And of course, posters, all these kind of stuff, book covers, worksheets, there's all sorts of templates there within the Creative Cloud Express app. Now, there are, oh, sorry, Richard, are you going to say something?
I was just blown away. I was going to say that is incredible. And just the ease of just selecting those color palettes, it's a real help, isn't it? It really makes the difference between a meh document and a wow document.
I think the thing that strikes me is, firstly, it's so easy that you can even have the really young children working on this. But secondly, how good these things look when you put them together. It really does help with the design. So taking that idea a little bit further, we have got some other apps within the Adobe Creative Cloud. And I'm just going to have a brief look at Spark Video. And again, you sign in with the same Adobe account. And it brings that same kind of approach. So once you've worked with the Adobe CC app, it's the same kind of way of working here for video. And again, I've got all these kind of inspiration templates that I can work with if I want. But if I just press the plus, I can skip to the editor for a moment. Let's have a quick look at the editor. And you'll notice here, we've got that same kind of approach here. I've got my first kind of slide within my video project here. And we can see the project along the bottom of the screen here. But if I go and press the plus, I can add content. I could pull in videos, text, photos. Let's go for photos. And you would expect, again, to be able to pull in your own photos from your library, which you can do, or your Google Drive, or wherever you're storing your files. But notice we've also got that find free photos. So just like in the CC Express app, I could search here. Maybe we're doing mini beasts. So let's find some butterflies. If I can spell it, there we go, butterflies. And we've got these images, which I can just tap and it puts it straight into my video. I can specify the amount of time it displays for within the video. Maybe we want to add some text. And again, you can move this around, you can resize it, you can do all the usual kind of edits you might like. Let's add a second image in. So this is like my second slide. You just keep pressing the plus buttons to add content. Let's stick with butterflies for the moment. We'll add another slide. We'll just do 3 for the moment. And we'll have this one, I think. So really quickly and easily, you can see how we can put this video together. Now, you might have noticed underneath each of these slides, these regions in our video, is a big red record button with a microphone in it. And this is vital, really. This is brilliant in a classroom, because this is where the children can record their voice. This is where they tell us what they know, and they demonstrate that knowledge and understanding. So we can tap that and we hold it down and we can just record our audio on here. Here we can see some of the butterflies that we might find in our own back gardens. And we can record that back there and hear everything we're doing over this audio. So really quite easy to put things together. Notice up in the top, we've got options for themes. We can add music in here. All the things that kind of make this video looking really slick. And we can add any of these in that we like. When we find one we like, we just tap done, and it adds it to our finished project. Now, of course, like anything else, when we've finished, we're looking for that share button, and there it is in the top right-hand corner, and we can save that finished video to the camera roll. So we've got a whole kind of workaround here for creating content, and it's just like Adobe CC. It all works in exactly the same way. It's just expanding those options for creating things which look fresh, they look a bit different, and really nice and simple ways for creating this content.
Again, just incredible, isn't it? Kind of, it can't be understated, can it? The library of photos, because you hear about people getting into all kinds of trouble because they've seen a photo on Google and just put it into a little project, and then the next thing you know, it's online, and there's all kinds of trouble can follow. So it's great to have this curated set that's easily searchable. You know, photos you've got the okay and the thumbs up to use in your school projects, and just give the children more that they can put into their creations. That's absolutely incredible. So
it's just amazing that Apple and Adobe are just giving us so much content creation in the classroom, and then so many resources to use it. And we just need the ideas, and they're even giving us that as well. So we just kind of have to go and do it with the children. So
an iPad in the middle of it all, making it all happen. Yes. There we go. Excellent. Right. If you want to give me the screen back, and then what I'll do is I'll just cover, point you to the resources. So. There we go. We've had a look at Adobe Creative Cloud Express and a bonus look at the other app as well. So thank you for that. Now, next steps. So if you're energized, and I know I am, then here's where to go. So get your cameras out, point them at the QR codes on the screen now. And we've got the Apple Teacher Program. That's the sort of central hub for all of the Apple resources. First QR code there is the information, the overview page about Apple Teacher, and then the lower QR code there is the all-important sign-up page. Sign up with your Apple ID. Sure, you've got one of those already. If you don't, just an email address, and you can start to look at all of that content within the Apple Teacher Program and work towards your Apple Teacher certificate. Why not? We, David and I, have made a ton of videos like this. A lot of them shorter than this one, some of them longer than this one. Do point your camera at that. That will take you to the MCC YouTube channel, where we talk about coding resources. We talk about creative resources. We talk about the Apple Teacher Program. We'll kind of walk you through getting that first certificate. We've talked about all sorts of stuff, haven't we? We're going to add this one to the collection as well, because that's the first time I know that we've featured the Adobe apps. So well worth referring back to that. Zap that QR code or just search MCC web channel on YouTube, and that will take you to where you want to go. That, I think, is almost exactly an hour. So thank you, David. So more on the socials. So do have a look at our Twitter, as well as, of course, our friends at Tablet Academy, who've been kind enough to host us today. And do check out their TikTok. We don't have a TikTok yet at MCC, but the TA Tech Tips TikTok has hundreds of thousands of followers. Join them and get your quick snippet tech tips videos from Tablet Academy. And with that, thank you. And I'd like to open up to questions, which we're happy to answer.